Rock bands, disco nights, bold colors, crazy patterns, all trends from the 70s, which created an entirely unique decade. The 70s is a time of many bold fashion trends, some which can even be reflected in today's fashion world. After substantial research on the topic and trends of the 70s, I feel well prepared to inform you of the popular fashion trends of the decade. The many fashion trends can be portrayed by what was popular at the time. So let's explore how these popularities affected men's and women's fashion. To begin, I'll introduce you to a few of the major pop culture influences of the time. 70s pop culture had major influences on the fashion industry. Many trends were born on television and in the music world. According to the article What Influenced Fashion in the 70s by Nancy Hayden, folk rock in the early 70s and punk rock in the later years of the decade both had significant influence on the fashion world. Folk bands such as Simon and Garfunkel, the Byrds, and the Rolling Stones all had their fans dressing in what we might consider to be hippie fashion. They would wear bold colors and bell bottoms such as these with a nice pattern on them. This would have been a popular pair of pants to wear, as well as headbands, and lots of women would wear flowy maxi dresses. Punk bands such as The Clash, Kiss, AC/DC, and Aerosmith had their fans dressing in a more edgy, rebellious style. They would wear lots of black leather, and the mohawk hairstyle also became very popular because of this. John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever inspired the disco era. Flared pants, bold ties, aviators, and long pointed collars were all major pieces of the men's disco fashion. Women would often wear glittery and bright dresses and jumpsuits, and the afro was also a very popular hairstyle for both. Many in the 1970s based their fashion choices off of their belief systems about the Vietnam War and the women's movement. In protest to the war, many people would wear green or camo jackets or pants. This is a jacket that you might have seen at the time. It's just a green army jacket. Women would also burn their bras in protest and to show support for the women's movement. They would also dress in whatever they wanted, whether it was meant for a man or a woman, to support gender equality. The 1970s pop culture fashion field was filled with many crazy and interesting trends, but let's take a look at the more conventional trends from the decade. The article titled 70s Fashion, What Did Women Wear During the 70s by Debbie and Oscar said that 70s fashion was filled with a little bit of everything. Housewives and other women in small towns had a bit of a different fashion scene than the mainstream media women. Trends were very similar, just not as bold. Shift and wrap dresses, as well as maxi dresses, were all very popular at the time. Pantsuits were often worn to the office. Bell bottoms and flare jeans were very popular. Corduroy and denim were both very popular fabrics for pants or skirts, things like that. Knit vests, such as one like this, would have been a very popular accessory to add to an outfit. Dresses like this, a denim dress, would have been very popular because of the embroidery and just the fact that it's a denim dress. The style and cut was very popular. This jacket you would have seen a lot of women wearing something like this. Some other accessories that you might have seen while living in the 70s would be vintage 1920s jewelry was very popular. Wedge heels and chunky square heels would both be popular. Something like this you might have seen. Women's hairstyles were also very diverse at the time. Many women would wear their hair stick straight, while others liked a more voluminous, curly style. Popular styles were feathered, shag, and bob hairstyles. and many women many often didn't wear any makeup. If they did, it was very light and natural. There weren't any bold makeup looks for the most part. Finally, let's take a look at men's fashion from the 1970s. The article by Karina Reddy from the Fashion History Timeline site said that 1970s continued the peacock revolution of men's fashion, which started in the 50s, making it more acceptable for men to wear bright colors, bold patterns, and to wear their hair long. Many new trends came along with this during the decade. Suits were always a stable option in men's fashion. Tight clothing was popular to emphasize a man's tall and lean figure. This included tight shirts, turtlenecks, and tight flared pants. Often, many men would opt in for wearing women's clothing just because they felt confident in it, and this also further attempted to level out gender equality. Athleisure also became very popular at the time. Many people would wear tracksuits and sneakers as casual everyday clothing. As you can see, 70s fashion was filled with many bold and new and interesting fashion trends. So today we learned about pop culture in the 70s and how this affected women in men's fashion. So how can we tell? Now we can tell that the 70s was definitely a time of bold fashion choices, some which can even be reflected in today's fashion world. I hope that today you learned something fun and interesting about 70s fashion, and maybe you want to try and incorporate some trends into your closet.